Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us on another Mobile App Academy. We're extremely happy to have you all. I see quite a few names on here. Wow, actually quite a few new ones, quite a few ones that I recognize. Thank you for joining us. Wherever you are in the world, we really appreciate it. Whether you're live or on demand, my name is Charlie Steiner, Product Marketing Manager here at ServiceNow. And today, on our live building session, we'll be walking you through getting started with the safe workplace apps that were released within the past couple months. So if you're brand new to Mobile App Academy, we host these sessions every 2 weeks here on Zoom, 10 a.m. Pacific. And if you're new to using our ServiceNow mobile apps, definitely let us know in the chat. We're browsing the chat for your questions. We should get back to you fairly quickly. And we love getting insight from all of you, whether it's in the chat window or on our mobile community page on the ServiceNow community. So we put these sessions together based on your feedback. So definitely let us know. And again, whether it's here or in the community, whatever you're working on, whatever you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. And we want this to be a two-way street. So get in touch with us. With all that said, and the admin over, I'd love to introduce David Ha, our Senior Product Marketing Manager, to get things started. David?
Thanks for the intro, Charlie. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Mobile App Academy. Let me go ahead and share my screen really quickly, and then we'll just get started on the agenda. So let's see here. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now. So my name is David Ha, and I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow. And I want to give a warm welcome to everyone joining us here live today. So in case you're wondering, for today's topic, I will start off by giving you a background on our Safe Workplace mobile apps. And then we'll be doing a live building session leveraging the out-of-the-box Employee Health Screen mobile app from the Safe Workplace app suite. And then how we can consolidate those workflows into the Now mobile app. There's a few past topics that we covered, including configuring navigations, migrating from the ServiceNow Mobile Classic app, as well as the Emergency Response mobile app. And if you're curious in learning more about those, feel free to check out our Mobile App Academy recordings that we post on YouTube. And it's going to be found on our Now Support YouTube channel. But if you just do a quick search on Mobile App Academy, should be the first few videos that you see there. And so within today's agenda, in the custom workflow that we will be building today, we'll start with the Now mobile app. And with the out-of-the-box experience that's readily available to use upon plugin installation, we're going to be focusing on the general employee or the requester use case today. And what we're going to do is we're going to enable the out-of-the-box health screen mobile app from the ServiceNow store. And this is one of the mobile apps that's available from our Safe Workplace app suite. I'll provide a general overview on these apps in just a moment. And then to improve this out-of-the-box experience, we're going to consolidate the workflow by moving some of the content from this plugin into a single Applet Launcher. And then we're going to also enable two different personas for this workflow. One for the general employee who's looking to return to the workplace. And then the other is the screener who will use their mobile app to collect health screening data and grant entry for the employee or the visitor. And then we'll also talk about some of the things you should consider around UX best practices when creating custom experiences for different users. And then if you're curious on what topics we're going to cover in the next 2 weeks, we'll be covering native manager dashboards. So there's native screens for single scorecards, time series, and latest score PA widget. Okay, so these will be the topics that we'll be covering in today's session. And if you are new to mobile, we recommend that you check out our resources on mobile community. There you can find some quick links to our mobile implementation guide as well as our past Mobile App Academy recordings. And I think an important note to consider today is, if you're new to mobile, mobile hierarchy and understanding the mobile hierarchy is important. And it's essential in learning how you can customize and deploy your own custom workflows. So highly recommend checking out some of those materials that you can find on mobile community. Also a reminder, our Mobile App Academies will take place on an Orlando instance. Although some of the features that we're configuring are also supported on New York instances. If you are on a New York instance, you might find that some of the configurations may look different. Okay, with that being said, this is a live building session that will last about 50 minutes. And then we'll open up to Q&A in the last 10 minutes if we have time. And if you have any questions throughout today's presentation, feel free to send them over in the QA section of Zoom. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll circle back and address them. Okay. So the first thing that I want to dive into is a quick update and overview on our emergency response and safe workplace apps. And we do have these available for mobile in case you are new to this. So with the impact on of COVID-19 on the workplace, we're really seeing how this impacts the global workforce. And as organizations plan for their employees to return to the workplace, their ability to deliver the employees the right digital experience for their return is super detrimental, and it's essential. And you'll actually find that mobile plays a critical role in this in rapidly changing the work environment. So ServiceNow's solution for the COVID-19 response consists of a suite of apps from both the emergency response management as well as Safe Workplace. And these are all the mobile experiences that we have enabled so far within those two suites. And for organizations who have limited resources and you're looking to react quickly so that you can expedite your employees' return to the workplace, these experiences are pre-built and they can be quickly installed and deployed as is as soon as you have that plugin installed. And with our mobile platform, you can easily customize the experiences as needed as well. Starting with the emergency response apps, we've enabled emergency outreach as well as emergency self-report to help organizations prepare for their workplace readiness. And the emergency outreach mobile app helps you stay connected with your employees via an email or push in which you can share updates or emergencies. And you can ask your employees to report their statuses on the mobile apps as well. And then with the emergency self-report app, it provides employees a quick and easy way to report those statuses to their managers and also have follow-up actions for any employees who are affected. And then with the Safe Workplace apps, we've enabled employee surveys, employee health screening, and workplace PPE inventory management. So any organization that's looking to help prepare employees for workplace readiness, this essentially gives organizations the visibility into their employees' wellness, as well as being able to validate safety requirements for workforce reentry, all which can be surveyed or enforced on their mobile apps. And today we'll be focusing on enabling just the employee health screening app, but just know that any of the learnings and concepts taken from today's session can be applied across any one of our out-of-the-box mobile apps. And what we're going to be covering during this live building session is going through the common use cases that you might find yourself configuring or tweaking for your own organization. Okay, so let's go ahead and transition over to how we can get started customizing this workflow on the mobile platform. Okay, so I think you should still be able to see my screen, but let me reshare just in case. Let me share. Okay, so this should be better. Okay, so to get started, we're gonna need to enable the following. First, you're gonna make sure that you have installed the Now mobile app from your device's app store. These out-of-the-box Safe Workplace apps, they're available for the Now mobile app. And in the previous academies, we showed you how to do things like configure pre-built experiences for my request, my services, some of these that you can find out of the box on this Now mobile app, right? And we also did things like add requests, add new fields to applets, or add new catalog items. And I also walked through some of the flows and use cases of what's available immediately upon enablement. If you're looking to learn more about that kind of content, we've uploaded those past videos onto the ServiceNow Now community channel on YouTube. So if you haven't already seen those, feel free to check out those videos and get caught up with those Now mobile pre-built experiences. Okay, so once you have the Now mobile app downloaded, then we're going to switch over to our instance and we're going to set up our environment. And so you're going to check that your instance is upgraded to New York and beyond. My instance is on the latest Orlando. And once you've upgraded, you should already have your Now mobile plugin installed. And you can check this if you look up plugins. And the only plugin that you need to enable your Now mobile app, we'll give this a second to load. Okay, and then the only plugin that you'll need for the Now mobile app is going to be called Now Mobile Applet Launcher. ServiceNow Now Mobile App Screens and Applet Launcher. So you can see that I already have this installed, and so I'm good on my Now mobile app. and it's ready to be configured on my instance. The next thing that I'm going to install is a pre-built experience for the employee health screening, right? And you can actually find that plugin inside of our store, the ServiceNow store. And it's going to be one of these apps featured here. So if I click view more, you will see the employee health screening mobile app. And this actually, having this mobile app in the App Store allows us to continuously make updates, much more frequently than our family releases. So you can actually find latest release notes on this doc as well as our product documentation. Okay, so once you open this up, you'll just click Get. You'll fill in your high credentials, get your instance information, and then this plugin will show up on your instance plugin list. If we look up employee health, and you can see here that I have it installed as well. Okay, so that's the plugin that I've installed. And once I have it installed, we're all good to go. So let's go ahead and hop over to our mobile device. And so here you find that I have my out-of-the-box experience for Now Mobile. I have services, information for me. All this is already familiar. But if you navigate over to our More tab, you're going to see a few new Applet launchers for screening, health status, and set up a visit. Okay, so I'm actually going to show you a couple personas. This is going to be our employee health screen workflow. And the first persona that I'm going to show is the user that I'm logged in as for Beth England, who is the general employee. And then the other employee is going to be for Alyssa, the screener. So let me show you a quick demo real quick. What I'm going to want to do today is consolidate the employee health screen workflow into the For Me Applet Launcher, so that I don't have to see too many tabs on my Now Mobile app. And this For Me tab has all the reports and actions that I would typically use in my day-to-day for my general employee. So consolidating this all into a single Applet Launcher is going to make my mobile experience much more slicker and much easier to use, right? So I have my typical out-of-the-box Applet Launchers for services, information, and for me. In my More tab, I'm going to move some of this content over to my For Me. And within this native workflow, immediately out of the box from this content that was pulled over from employee health screening, some of the things you can do out of the box is you can pre-screen your employees by verifying their health status and compliance. And before they return to the workplace, they can complete some forms on their mobile app and then get a QR code to validate on site that they're compliant and healthy. This also triggers off some emails to send re-entry requirements so that you can keep your employees informed and connected at all times. And this mobile workflow also allows you to screen your employees and their visitors' temperature, or if they have any personal protection equipment like face masks before they enter the worksite. So all this can be done on the mobile app, and let me show you that now. I'm logged in as Beth, as you can see, or sorry, I'm logged in as Ben, actually. So let me log out. Ben was my system admin. I'm going to re-log in as Beth. So Beth, England. Okay, so now I'm logged in as Beth, and now I can only see health status as well as set up a visit. So the first thing I can do is I can check my current health status. But if I tap into my status here, you can see that looks like health status is already cleared. I'm actually going to clear out some of this data. So if I check out health status and safety requirements, employee health verification. So I actually skipped a couple steps. I'm actually going to clear some of this data really fast. Okay, no, that's fine. All right, so so here I can check my status as Beth. Typically, this would show as no data because Beth hasn't completed anything yet. But typically, the first thing that you'll do as a general employee to get your health verification is you need to complete a health verification form. to make sure that Beth, the general employee, has met all the criteria on site. And so to update this, what I would need to do is I would need to navigate to my services, and I would browse a service that is found on Can We Help You? And there is a catalog item for health verification. So this is how you kick off the workflow. And as Beth, she needs to read the criteria that my organization has for me in order for me to be able to be on site. And if I complete all these criteria, I just acknowledge that I met the criteria, and then I submit, right? And then this generates a QR code for Beth, in which I can show my screener, who would be at the door at the location, and they would scan me in and get the latest information on my status. Okay. And I can also access my QR code here too, my safety QR code. Okay, so that's my general employee workflow for health status. I noticed that there's a health verification test. I'm actually going to remove that really quickly. So I was doing some testing earlier, so let's remove that so I don't cause any confusion. Health verification. Okay, so now if I refresh, I should only see these two out of the box. Safety QR code and my status, okay? So that was the workflow for the general employee. But once the general employee is on the worksite, there's gonna be a site team member or that health screener that's gonna be on site to help check people in, right? So next, I'm going to log in as the health screener. And my health screener is Alyssa Chinoy. So we're gonna log in as Alyssa. Okay, and as a health screener, I'm going to see the screening Applet Launcher that was hidden from my general employee. This Applet Launcher allows me to help me verify employees that they satisfy the health and safety requirements before entering the building. So the first thing that I'll do as a health screener is I'll use my native QR barcode scanner, and I'll scan for entry. And it's going to be looking up a QR barcode. I think you should be able to see my screen if I navigate over here. I'm going to scan this QR code from Beth. And then if I do a search, when Beth showed me her QR code, it says that her requirement is cleared. And so Beth is good, and she's completed that form. And I can see some additional information on Beth as well here. And I can configure some fields here as well if I want. But the most important thing is I see that Beth, the employee, has cleared her requirement status for the day. And so the next thing I'm going to do is if she wants entry into the building, I need to fill out a request entry form for Beth. So I'm going to open up this request entry form. It's going to ask who this employee is. And so I'm going to type in Beth. And then I'm going to measure her temperature, and she registers at a 98.6. And I need to check to make sure that she has any PPE. In this case, she's wearing a face mask, so she's okay. And so I'll collect her temperature as well as her PPE. We'll submit. And because she didn't, because her temperature is good and she's wearing all the PPE required to enter the building, her entry has been granted. And this would allow Beth access into the building. Okay, so that's the workflow for the screener. And if there's a lot of visitors and employees that are entering the building, I can quickly screen another employee with a tap of a button. Okay, the very last workflow that I want to show is how employees can request for visitor guest access. And I actually need to navigate back to the general employee to do this. So this comes in two parts. So let me first log in back into the general employee. So if I log in as Beth, the general employee. And let's say that I have a customer that's coming on site, and I need to have a meeting with this customer. And this customer's name is David. I'll need to set up a visit for David, my visitor. And the first thing that I need to do is I need to complete the set up a visit form. The host employee will automatically fill in my name as well as my location. And my visitor's name is going to be David. Last name Ha. I can type in their phone number. It's not required, but I can make it required if I want to. But for the visitor's email, this is going to be the most important thing because this is going to send a confirmation email to my visitor. So I'm actually going to use my work email. And I'll show you the email that gets sent to this. Visitor's company will be Service or Now Service. Reason for visit will be customer meeting. Okay, and then there's a watch list field. So if you want to share this, let maybe the rest of your team or your manager know that you have a visitor coming, you can do that. Right now, the only watch list is Beth. I can also add Abel if I want to. And you'll get a follow-up email for both Beth and Abel. So let's go and submit this. I've now completed a setup a visit form for my visitor. And now this should trigger off an email off my instance. And that email should get sent to david.ha@servicenow.com. Just to make sure that this email did get triggered, we'll look up my emails on my instance. And it looks like there was an email sent today at 10:23. So now I just have to quickly check my email to make sure that I got it. And we'll give it a second just to upload. Send ready. So let's do a refresh real quick. $22.83. So I'm seeing this record on the email list. So this is a good sign. I think it just needs to wait a second for me to receive it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So so I got an email from my help desk, and it's gonna give you some additional information about your visitors and the criteria that they have to meet in order to visit the office. So I'm the visitor, David. I got this email from the company. I'll read this email. I'll say that I've fulfilled all the criteria here. I'm not coughing, I'm not sneezing, and I'm not waiting for results on my coronavirus test. And so if I fulfill all these conditions, in order to confirm my visit, all I have to do is email back yes as the first word in the email body. So let's go ahead and reply to this. And we will say yes and then send. And then I should shortly get a confirmation message back from the organization's IT department. So let's make sure that this email is triggered. So I did receive from David. And now I should be waiting a confirmation message shortly. This might actually take a while, so I can navigate back here once I do receive it. Okay. And once that's been confirmed, the flow then gets passed on back to the visitor, right? So as a visitor, David, who enters the building, got my confirmation message. Now the visitor just has to screen the visitor. And to complete this workflow, I'm gonna log in back as the visitor or the screener. The screener is gonna be Alyssa Chinoy. Okay. And then as the screener, I just need to fill out this request visitor entry form for them. So David's waiting at the door, and the screener, where there should be a visitor lookup data that gets populated here if they complete the that email and form that got sent to them earlier. And so I can see the lookup, there's a data for David. It will automatically populate these fields based on how that form was filled out. And David does meet criteria. The location of this building is San Francisco. I'll check his temperature, which also registers at 98.6. He's wearing a face mask, so he's good, and then we'll submit. And now that visitor is allowed to enter. If I need to screen any other visitors, I can quickly pull up that form as well with the tap of the button. Okay, so that was a demo of the out-of-the-box experience for this employee health screening mobile app. There's a few things that we want to do here just to clean up this experience. You know, you can kind of see that there's a lot of things going on. I have to click around on a whole bunch of different tabs. But this would be a much easier experience if I had consolidated it all into a single Applet launcher. So that's what we're going to go through today for today's exercise. So let's go ahead and jump straight to it. And we are first going to customize the general employee experience. So I'm going to log back into Beth England, the general employee. And I'm going to customize the experience for her. Okay. So what we're going to do is, you know, as a general employee on my For Me tab, you know, I can see things like popular services, popular articles, my to-dos, my requests. All of these things are still relevant to my day-to-day, but an additional thing that I want to bring over is health status, to be able to quickly pull up my safety QR code, as well as being able to check my status. These are things that I would do in a normal day-to-day, and these are the most important things that I need to see in my mobile app. And so I'm going to consolidate these two applets into my For Me landing page so that I can easily and quickly access everything on a single screen. Okay, so to do this, there's a few things that I want to move over. First, it's odd that I have to go to a completely different tab just to submit health verification, right? So I would have to first go to services and then open up Can We Help You? And then open up a health verification form. I can also look up health verification form on my global search. Right, and that'll also pull up the form. But you know, that's just an extra tab still that I have to navigate over to services to do that. We're actually going to create a URL applet that points to this catalog item, and we're going to actually move it over to the top of my For Me tab. And then the second thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my safety QR code from health status, as well as my status applet, and we will also move it over to my For Me tab. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to move the Set Up a Visit applet into the same tab as well. And since there's 4 applets total, I'm going to display all 4 of these as a horizontal icon section at the very top. It's best practice to only use horizontal icon sections when you have 3 or more applets. Any more, you know, I would recommend displaying it as vertical instead. And just a reminder on hierarchy, in case you are new to mobile. Let me show you the hierarchy really quickly. So let's close out of this. Okay. So you start with your 3 different clients, right? For agent, now mobile, and onboarding. And then you have a navigation bar. Actually, it might be easier if I show my mobile app as well. So let's actually bring this over. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so I have a navigation bar here on my left. And on this navigation bar, I have different navigation tabs, which are my services, information for me. And within this navigation tab, you can have these different tabs can represent different Applet launchers or applets. Applet launchers are landing pages, and applets are different types of reports. On the Applet launcher, you have different UI sections. And these UI sections can either be icon applets, such as these, or they can be item sections, which are these things here. What we're going to want to show is we're going to show them as icon sections. But instead of going down vertically, it's going to go horizontally. And so that's what we're going to configure. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's start our configuration for this. So first thing that we're going to want to pull over is from this health status Applet Launcher. Let's bring over my safety QR code as well as my status. And we're going to create a new UI section at the top for me. So let's, first we're going to open up the Applet Launcher and find the Applet Launcher for me. And I think this Applet Launcher is called Home. So if I open up Home, Homepage, the homepage is for the Now Mobile plugin. So I know that this is the right one. And on this For Me homepage, the For Me tab is called, I believe it's called, oh no, sorry. Each one of these sections represent these things here. So you have popular services, popular articles, and my to-dos. And we're going to create a new UI section at the very top so that I can display those icon sections. So let's switch into the scope. And the scope's going to be Now Mobile App Screens and Applet Launchers. We're going to insert a new row here on the Applet Launcher section. And we're going to create a new UI section for icon sections. Notice that there's 3 other types of sections as well. Since we are in a Orlando instance, you can start configuring native charts, for single scorecards, time series, and latest core PA widgets. There's also item sections, which displays your records, such as this. These are different records. And the media sections are like creating banners. But what we want is an icon section. And we can label this icon section. Let's call it, health status. I can hide the header if I want to, but I will keep it. And then the applets, I don't have to recreate any applets since they've already been recreated for me. So now I just have to find what these applets are and just point to it, point to this icon section. So there's an icon section for my safety QR code. And then there's a second applet for my status. And then we do want this in a horizontal section instead of vertical. So we'll leave it as horizontal. And then since this is my general employee, I don't need to apply any roles here. And then I'll submit. I'll click this check mark to save. And then we'll save the Applet Launcher as well. So now, if I go back to For Me and I refresh this, I have my safety QR code as well as my status. The third thing that I want to pull over is set up a visit. That's also relevant to me as a general employee, right? I can set up my, this is a set up a visit for visitors, but also have set up a visit for myself, which lives on services. So let's actually move up set up a visit first, and then we'll move set up a visit for an employee after. So we'll go back into this health status UI section. And then we're going to bring over a third applet for set up a visit. It should be called set up a visit. And then we'll save here. Okay. So now if I refresh, I should see that third icon applet. And there we go. Okay. So the very last icon applet I want to show is on this is if I navigate to services, I have to open up, can we help you? And then open up health verification. So why don't we actually create this as a URL applet as opposed to opening it as a catalog item off of services. So let's go ahead and do that now. But in order for you to understand this hierarchy, I'm going to need to show you what's happening on the back end on Now Mobile. So I'm going to duplicate this tab, and I am going to show you the backend tables for this structure for services. So first, we want to find health verification catalog item off of browse services. So let's open up the browse services applet to see what's going on here. We'll look up browse services. Okay, so it looks like there's 3 different browsers, and they all live on the Now mobile app. But the description here is this is the parent. So I'm going to assume that the browse services top level view here is this one. Okay, so I'll click into this. This will take me into the list screen, which is exactly what we see here. This is the list screen for browse services. And inside of it, we have to, in order to navigate to can we help you, this service is here, we have to continue clicking into the backend tables. Let's review the hierarchy deck really fast, just in case you're new to mobile. I'll explain item stream segments and so forth. So we'll navigate back to this screen. Oops, here we go. Okay, so let's make this a little bigger, and let's actually expand this. Okay, so you have your clients. We want to build inside of Now mobile app, and we want to be able to configure the navigation bar from the Now mobile app. If we go further, you can then specify, what tab that you want to configure on that navigation bar on Now mobile. And then once I have this tab, you specify the tab whether you want an Applet launcher or an applet. The Applet launchers are landing pages, right? Applets are different types of screens and reports. So I have an Applet launcher for the For Me tab. And within this Applet launcher contains an applet. And the applet that I have is a list applet. So let's actually go to screen number 8. And just to help better explain it with screenshots. So these are navigation tabs, right, on the Now mobile app. The Applet launcher is the landing page itself. And then we go to UI sections. These are the different UI sections within my landing page for the Applet launcher. And now this is a different applets that live on my mobile app. This specifically is a form screen, but I have list screens, map screens, and so forth. What I'm trying to explain is the item stream segment. So on a list screen, you can have different segments, and this allows you to control what type of data that you want. Here you can see that this is a list screen that contains 2 segments. The first segment for open instance, and then this closed segments for closed instance. So you can control the conditions of the same table using those segments. But you can also see that I have work order tasks as well as instance. So you can bring in multiple tables within each segment as well. And the item stream is what represents which data. So I can have an item stream for instance, item stream for request, item stream for cases. We dig further. The item stream contains the data item, and the data item controls your conditions of those records. And then you get to your master item if you click into the segment. And the master item basically controls what fields are displayed on your list item. And you can control this with the item view JSON. Okay, so this is all, we've covered this information on previous videos, but this was just a quick reminder and refresher. Highly recommend checking out the mobile app recordings in case this is confusing. We dedicated a couple of videos, the first 2 videos, covering the mobile hierarchy. But now that I've explained to you the master item, this will help explain what's going on here on the back end. So I've opened up the list item for browse services, and I'm trying to navigate to this next screen. And when I click on can we help you? So to navigate there, I have to open up the master item for this browse services. Right, each one of these is a different master item. And on this master item, I'm expecting a navigation function that takes me to a different screen. And that allows me to get to this services screen. So let's go and do that now. I'm going to click into the item stream segment, into the item stream, and now into the master item. Okay, so as I was expecting, there are a couple functions based on the conditions where it navigates to next. Instead of navigating to the next category, I want to actually navigate to the catalog item itself. So I'm going to check out this function that takes me to the catalog item. And then this navigation function, we'll open this up here. And this navigation is taking me to a screen called Services. And that's exactly what I was expecting. So if I tap on Can We Help You, it takes me to Services, which is another list applet. So let's keep on navigating. On Services, I can open up Services. And then I'm going to open up, continue navigating to the master item. And then here, it then opens up my catalog items. So if I want to open up health verification form, what is this URL that's opening this up? And I'm expecting there's some sort of dynamic URL from the mobile MESP, Mobile Experience Service Center, Employee Service Center, sorry. And I'm trying to grab the URL off of this catalog item. And in order to get that URL, there's another navigation that takes me there. So let's open this up. And let's check out this function. How does it dynamically open up all these different catalog items? We'll open up this function. And here is the URL for it. So it looks like it takes you to the MESP, the Mobile Employee Service Portal. And it takes the sys of that catalog item. So I'm going to copy and paste this link URL. And we are going to copy into our notes to save for later. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Employee Service Center. And I'm going to find health verification. There should be a sys ID in the URL. So if I look up health verification, there's the catalog item here. And now in my URL, there is a sys ID that points to this sys ID here. I'm going to copy this over. And with the URL that I had earlier, I'm going to hard code this so that I can create my URL applet. So all I have to do is remove these brackets. Remove these brackets and then paste in the sys ID. So now I have my URL. So now back on mobile, we're going to create our URL applet now that I have my URL. So let's go and do that now. Let's create a new applet. And again, just to remind you what we're doing is on the For Me tab, I'm going to add a fourth URL applet that opens up that catalog item. So let's do that now. We're going to create a new applet. Browse screen is the URL type applet. Let's name this, the catalog item is called health verification. The icon, we'll use this URL icon. We'll use one of the icons. I'll explain your icons in just a second. And then URL, we're going to paste the URL that we hard-coded. Okay, so now if I submit, I now have my URL applet done. And now I just have to associate it to this UI section. So we're going to open up the For Me tab again, and we're going to associate the new icon applet that we just created. So let's open up Applet Launcher. Open up, I think it's called Home. Homepage. Homepage, the scope is now mobile. And then we created this health status UI section here. We'll give it a second to load. And then for applets, I have 3 so far. Let's add the 4th one for, what do they call it? Health verification. And then we'll save. Okay, now if I refresh the mobile app, I should see my health verification. If I open it, if I tap on health verification, it'll take me to that form. So now I have all the things that I need to do as a general employee for the employee health status stuff, right? Instead of having to go to a different Applet Launcher, and then opening up this Applet Launcher and, just to get to my health status, I now have it all consolidated into a single screen. And so now, this Applet Launcher has all my things that I would typically do in a day-to-day. I can pull up my safety QR code. I can check my status. If I need to set up visits for visitors, I can quickly do that here. And then if I need to fill in another health verification form, which is something that I typically need to do daily, I can do that here. Okay. And now the next thing I want to do is actually create the Applet Launcher for the health screener. So I've completed one persona. Now the second persona is for the health screener. And you can see here that I don't have that screening Applet Launcher because it's restricted by role. And only Alyssa Chinoy is able to see that Applet Launcher. So let's actually navigate to our second persona. And if I don't need these anymore, I can actually remove it from my client if I want to. Well, let's move on to the second persona, the health screener. So we're going to log in as Alyssa Chinoy, the health screener. And then for Alyssa Chinoy, you can see the screening Applet Launcher. It already has all of my applets that I have. And I actually don't really need to do anything here, right? It already has all the related information that I need to do. As a screener, I can screen my general employees. I can screen my visitors. And I can screen their QR code here as well. And then if I need to manually look up different employees and visitors in case they need to re-enter the building or something, I can quickly look up Beth Anglin and do that here as well. So I don't actually need to consolidate anything here. It's already done for me. But this is kind of a plain and simple Applet Launcher. Let's actually kind of configure the landing page so it just matches our organization's brands and colors a bit more. So we're going to cover some of the UX best practices here. So just make this landing page look more like a custom landing page as a standalone landing page. Let's add a media section to this. And a media section is like a banner, and maybe it helps you brand your landing page. So let's open up this landing page for health screen. Employee health screening. So I think it's, employee health screening. And it should have my 4 applets, which I can see here. Okay. So I currently have an icon section that's going vertically. I can add a media section at the very top just to use some more of that white space. So let's switch into the scope. Employee health screen. Notice that there is a role for this Applet Launcher, and that's the reason why the general employee can't see it. We did associate the monitoring user role to Alyssa Chinoy. And so only users with this role should be able to see this specific landing page. And it will be hidden for anyone else that doesn't have this role. So let's create that media section now. We'll create a new section. We'll change the type to media, click OK. We'll call this health screen. The headline, let's call it employee health screen. And then the description can be Before employees enter the workplace, verify their health by screening for elevated temperatures. And then this is the image that I'm going to use. For the image, you just have to attach add an attachment. And so we'll choose our image file. We'll use this one. And then once it's attached, you should then be able to see it on your image field, which is called media 0. You can add functions to this. So if you want it to navigate anywhere, I don't have any actions or use cases for this banner, so I'm going to leave it blank. But just know that you can have your end users click on it and it will navigate you to a different screen or maybe even a different URL. Okay, so let's go ahead and submit. We'll click this check mark to save. We're going to set the order to 0 so that it shows above this icon section. And then we'll save this Applet Launcher. And then if I do a refresh, now I have a media section with an image. I have the description on what this landing page does. And now my screeners know exactly what this landing page is for. And they this specific landing page is specifically made for them. Just a few other things that I can do is I can customize these icons. They're gray, they're grayed out. Let's actually make them so that the icons match the color a bit better. So to change icons on applets, typically you can do it in Mobile Studio. But since all of this stuff is built on Now Mobile, you actually have to do it on the Now Platform UI. So let me show you how to do that. So if you open up an applet, we're going to look up the request entry applet. And here's the icon that they used. So we'll just open up the icon. And these are the colors and background colors that they changed. And here you can change the font names and shapes as well. If you want to know how you can customize your icons, there is product documentation on this. So if I open up product docs, we'll check out Orlando. On the left side, there should be docs for mobile icons. And to see all the different icons that are supported, you just check it out here. But all I want to do today is I just want to change the values so that they aren't gray. So for the font icon, I'm going to use this UI style. We'll do this one here. So let's do background color, this. And then the font color will be this. We'll save. And then if I refresh, you can now see that the color of the icon has changed, I think. Let's choose a different background color just to make sure. Press enter. Oh. Font color, background color. Let's double check. We're going to open up the request entry. So I'm going to troubleshoot my applet real quick to see why the icon color is not changing. So I have my URL applet, and this is the icon that's attached. If I open up this record, I should be able to change the font color and background color. Alternatively, I can use an icon that I already have pre-built out of the box. So let's use So another thing that you can do too, just to make sure that your icons and colors are supported. So if you open up Studio, typically we manage our icons and colors through Studio, right? And when you create an applet, this is where you control all the supported icons and colors here. I was trying to do it through a manual process, and maybe one of my configs is off, but if you want to make sure that this works, I'll choose one of the supported icons here. Let's say for the request entry, we want it to be this icon and then this color, blue. And then we'll call this test, and this will be a list applet. I'm going to fill in some data real quick just to use. I'll call this test instant table. And I'm just using this as a template so that I can pull over this icon. So I'm going to look up test, and then we'll save. Okay, so now I'm actually going to look up test icon, this test applet. So if I open up applet, and then I look up my test applet, the list screen test. So here's the icon. It's called icon edit. Let's actually open this record, and let's call it for request entry icon, and then we'll save. Okay. Now if I go back to my applet for request entry, applet, we'll find the request entry applet, switch into the scope. We'll select the request entry icon, then we'll save. And this should be able to change the icon as well. And there it is. So now you can have that icon that we created. Okay, so that was kind of just a quick overview on some of the UX best practices and things you can do to help your landing page stand out more and look better. And so here, just to quickly summarize, we created a landing page for the employee health screener, right? And this screener is for Alyssa Chinoy. But I also created a second persona for the general employee as well by logging into the general employee for Beth England. We also customized the out of the box for me Applet Launcher so that I have all of the health status reports quickly accessible to me all on a single screen. And of course, I would apply some of my UX best practices here as well. Change the icons and colors of these so it better matches. I would add a media section. And if there's any applets here that aren't relevant to me or I want to remove, I would just simply take it off of this landing page. Okay. So that kind of wraps up what I wanted to show today. We are at the top of the hour, but we'll stay for another 10 minutes to help answer any questions that came up along the way. Fu, are there any questions that we want to highlight from the audience?
Yeah, there was a really good question about. Well, actually, there was a really good concept that you touched upon. Is basically you've taken an out of the box application, and one of them is called Browse Services. And if you notice that Browse Services has some drilling capability, so it goes down to a particular catalog, and goes down to a particular item. And if you reverse engineer it, there are like navigation functions. Now, that can be intimidating at first, but if you know the schema, the structure of it, you can basically extract anything and add it and create your own experiences, right? You can, what David just did, he just added an item, a URL applet, and just extract it and put it there. This is why he hard-coded the sysid. If you're very comfortable with that kind of environment, feel free to do it. It is possible. So, and the other question was about record producer. So one question was, can I remove the template, the temperature, or PPE? Can I customize my field? So we recommend that you don't do that because you also have to make modifications to the scripts. And then of course there are tables and there are probably business rules that gets executed. So we don't advise you to do, but if you want to, it's possible.
Right. It's something that you can do. Just know that, you might run into collisions when you upgrade because, this is in the ServiceNow store and they do make updates to that app every 2-3 weeks. And so if you're able to handle those upgrades, it is something you can customize with the platform. And just to give you an example of how you can customize this, if you open up the service catalog, for example, let's say I wanted to customize my health verification form, right? I would just look up this service catalog item. And I know that lives on Can We Help You? And it looks like it's this health verification form here. I can easily, if I go to edit, configure item, I can easily change the description here, short description, and kind of whatever that you can control here, all the things that you can do. One quick fix is, probably a common use case people run into. So when you look up health verification, you'll notice that there's no image here. And it's because this record isn't using a picture. But if I change into the scope, I can quickly add a picture here. And if I choose the file, I think I already have an image ready. Test image, open, click OK. We save. Right. Oh, whoops, not insert. Whoops, hopefully that didn't do anything. But anyways, if I refresh and look up health verification, there's that image. So, right, there's a lot of things that you can tweak, but there's a lot of things that you can customize and tweak, as you can see here. But again, the only thing to consider is you might run into those collisions when you upgrade. Okay. Any other things we should highlight?
Yeah, there's another question that just came through about the applet icon color that wasn't changing, and you had to do it in Mobile Studio. Mm-hmm. Do you know what was the issue there?
Yeah, so it's possible that the icon that they were using wasn't supported. And so when I was trying to configure it, it just wasn't working. But what I would recommend is best practices. Use one of the icons from Mobile Studio and then just extract that icon and then use that as a template. That's what I would recommend. And then you should be able to change the icons and the text and background color as needed. And all the supported icons are on the product docs, right? So if you look up mobile icons, you can find more information out here. I had to speed through it just because we were running out of time. Okay.
We have another question. Can you change the QR code screen to have date and person name on that screen? So for this screen, or the scan.
The scan. I need this.
No. I think he or she meant the screen. No, I think that's out of the box, and that's actually displaying that QR code is actually it's generating the user ID, not the user sys ID. It's actually the user ID. So I'm not sure how that's done in out of the box, but we can, if we know how to figure that out, like how that's actually done, you can actually like append the values, but it only scan one or display one value. So you can have it like some sort of JSON if you wanted to.
Right.
Have multiple key value pairs.
So I think this is a UI page, and this QR code is simply just pulling the sys ID of the user. Yeah. So if I were to scan this QR code right now, I'm logged in as Beth Englund. And I actually, if I'm logged in as Beth Englund, when you pull up the QR reader, it will just manually input Beth.Englund, which is her user ID. And then it'll look at the record on Beth. And I can show that really quickly, just as a reminder. So I log in as my health screener, Alyssa Chenoy. And then I do screening, scan for entry. I think I have the QR code on this Word doc. See, so yeah, it looks up the, I think, can you see my screen? Oops.
No. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so yeah, I don't know if you saw the scan, but yeah, I scanned the QR code and it manually populated that thing. Like if I do a search, it'll look up the employee.
So you notice that the QR code is a string. So if you want to add like date and person name, you have to embed that value into some sort of JSON and then stringify it. And then on your QR script, you would have to figure out how to parse it. So it can be done. It's just a little bit more scripting.
Yep. Any other questions?
There's one just came through. Is it possible to have different health scripts for different jurisdictions? That's a good question. That's probably a question for our BU.
So any other additional, questions can also be submitted to the community page that they have. So they have a community page called Safe Workplace App Suites, and they actually have their BU developers that's monitoring that page. So I'd recommend posting that question there, and hopefully someone from that team should be able to help. So we aren't actually the BU experts of this app. We kind of just generally know the mobile platform. So we aren't able to know that that's possible within this BU app at this time. But yeah, definitely post it on the Safe Workplace App Suite community page. Someone there should be able to help you. Okay, sweet. Okay, thanks everyone. So one last thing I want to cover while I still have you are additional resources. So first, we have our developer, or some additional resources to get started in case you are new to mobile. So first we have the developer site as well as the Now Learning site. And this covers all the fundamentals for mobile and how to think about it if you are new to mobile. We give you a test instance and we give you hands-on training as you make your way into becoming a mobile expert. So definitely check that out if you're completely new to mobile. We also have mobile community where you can access our FAQs, articles, and ask questions around your mobile implementations. And our internal mobile teams are on this quite frequently. So this is a great place for you to share feedback and ask us questions. And of course, we have the Mobile App Academy, our YouTube building, app building series. And you can watch our past academies on the Now Support YouTube channel. And yeah, continue to join us live. We're continuing to have this every 2 weeks on Tuesdays. And if you check out our community page, we'll have the latest updates there as well. And then of course, product docs, where you can read the release notes and new features. And then Idea Portal. This is if you want to share with us any enhancements to the mobile platform. Those get sent straight to our backlog, and we kind of further the discussion from there. Okay, so that wraps up everything that I wanted to share for today. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We will have this recording up in the next few days, but I hope you found this session helpful and informative. And if you have any questions further from today, feel free to keep posting on our community site as we continue to explore other configurations and feature academies. So thank you everyone for joining us, and hope to see you at the next academy. Bye everyone.